Today's Fireside Chat is a special moment to honor and connect. As we observe Veterans Day, we come together to recognize the service, sacrifice, and strength of our colleagues who have served, and those who continue to serve in the armed forces. Veterans Day is more than a date on the calendar. It's a powerful reminder of the values that unite us: duty, resilience, and community. It's a moment for us, both as a company and as individuals, to express our gratitude, not just through words, but through sincere appreciation and reflection. Joining us today are teammates who have embodied these values in uniform and who continue to enrich our workplace with the same spirit of leadership, integrity, and commitment. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks,
Welcome.
Wanda.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's an honor to have all of you here today, to have this conversation. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this, to interview each of you here. Before we get started, if you could introduce yourself, tell us what you do at Phoenix Contact and what branch of the military you served in. Al, since you're here, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Al Filaretto. I've been at Phoenix Contact 7 3/4 years. I work in telecom and data centers currently at the time.
Okay. And what branch of the military?
I was in the Army and Army Reserve. So I did 2 years of active in the Army and 4 years in the reserves.
Good.
Thank you, Wanda.
Yeah.
Greg Hellman. I've been with Phoenix for 9.5 years. I'm the Sales Enablement Manager for our Sales Operations team, running a small team there. And I spent 8 years in the Army and Army Reserve, activated in 2006 to Baghdad, Iraq, and worked in a prison for 12 months.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, was the prison in Baghdad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. We're going to dive into that a little bit. Matt, go ahead.
I am Matt Schwartz. I'm the product marketing specialist for the Toolfox line of tools. I've been here just about 3 years, and was in the 193rd Special Operations Ring of the Air National Guard, which is right over there at the Harrisburg Airport. I was there for, believe it or not, 25 years. So,
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you all for your service. So it's very interesting to hear about the background and what you did in the military and what got you interested. Before we dive into all of that, I just want to take a moment to talk through, at Phoenix Contact, for the years that you've been here, I've been here for a total of 25 years. And every year there is such an effort to recognize the veterans that we have as a part of our community, but not just our colleagues, such as yourselves, but any family members that are related. And so I just wanted to take a minute, because as everyone's watching and thinking about maybe their time of service or their family service, it's so incredible to get this email every year recognizing all of this connection. I mean, these are individuals that have been, even far back as the American Revolution, and they're somehow connected to one of our colleagues, somebody that works with us. So it's just really incredible, and that's why we wanted to kind of focus in on a fireside chat and lean into what service means to each of you, what Veterans Day means to all of us, and just recognizing that. So before we jumped into that, I wanted to go over that. And it's not just, as I read through every employee and what they've added and what what they provide, the information, this is like aunts, uncles, great-great-great-grandfathers, great-great-great-uncles, and all the service and pride. And you can hear the pride in what they put in some of the stories in that. So it's really neat. So let's jump in. What got you interested in the military? So Al, I'll start with you.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So let me think about how to respond to that. Okay. So I'm going to say I was probably predestined from 8 or 9 years old to join the military, and I'll explain why I say that. So my father was a World War II vet, and when you think about when I was growing up, it was like 1970s. I was 8, 9 years old. He would take me, you couldn't do this today, but he would take me to a barroom pizzeria. I quote say pizzeria because he'd take me for pizza. And he would sit me at a bar, and he would put me up on the bar, and they had birch beer on tap. And he would be there, and this bar was always loaded with a lot of World War II vets. So as a kid, I would listen to this conversation, and I would drink my birch beer and they would drink their beer, and I felt part of the group. I like really connected with these guys, and some of them was personal. Like the gentleman who owned the bar, he had a bad arm. He took a machine gun bullet at Anzio Beach. So as a child, I would try to understand what was Anzio Beach. And I read so many books between like 8 years old and 18 when I could join the military. It just really enthralled me. And then, if you also look at the framework of where I was at in the early 80s and what was going on at the time in the country, unemployment was at a 10-year high. I mean, there was 10% unemployment. You couldn't get a house mortgage. It was 18%. And at the time, recruiters were still allowed to come into the high schools and recruit. So I just, it all just seemed to boil and work together. Yeah. And I joined the military at 18, and I just recently had my 40th year class reunion. I can't believe I'm even saying 40-year class reunion. Where is the time gone? But at the class reunion, I was tasked with locating people and inviting them. And what I found just dramatically interesting was that of a class of 324, 57 people in my senior class joined the military.
Wow.
So I was curious about that. Like, was that a lot? Was that average? So I looked at the facts, and that percentage was higher than the number of people that enlisted in World War II or were drafted for the population. So I would say, answer your question, there's a lot of history. I guess I was ingrained at an early age. The job market didn't look promising, and I wanted to test myself as well. So there were a lot of reasons I got in the military, and I've always said it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Great. Had I gone to college or gone out in the world at that point, it would have been a disaster. It changed me as a person.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I mean, my father-in-law was in the Marines. He was actually a part of the whole Cuban situation back in the 60s, and he shared a lot of stories with me. And same thing. I mean, he actually went and signed himself up for the military. He had a little bit of a history growing up as a young man. So, but yeah, he said too, it was the best thing that happened to him. And do you feel the same way, Greg?
Yeah, I think the part that Al said that really, kind of echoes for me is about challenging yourself, and I think that's a big one that we continue to do. Maybe we're just sadistic in some way that we like to be challenged in that way, but no, I think that's the biggest thing, kind of proving to myself that I could complete some of these things, some of these schools, missions, things like that. For me, I was 16 in a classroom when 9/11 happened, and for me, it was kind of that opportunity to answer the call. Yeah. So I joined at 17 and deployed. I believe I was 21 when we trained up to leave for Iraq, and returned at 22 as a homeowner. So to Al's point, it really kind of gives you that springboard for opportunity to kind of launch you into adulthood and things like that. So most 17-year-old kids probably aren't thinking that way, but
True.
I was.
Yeah.
So
True.
Yeah, and you mentioned 9/11, September 11, 2001, yep. Which we know as 9/11, and we talked about that in preparation for this, that you were all in a different part of your life, on that day. Absolutely. And Matt, tell us where you were at in your journey on when that happened.
For me, I was over at the airport. I was working full-time with the Air National Guard, and I was actually in the finance office at that time. I was actually a photographer, but I was working as a temporary employee over there, and because I was really early in my career, because I joined in '98, and just listening to somebody saying, "Hey, there's an aircraft that hit the tower," I was like, "That doesn't sound right." As soon as I walked over to the TV that they actually had it on, that was when the second plane hit. Yeah. And it just so surreal in my life. It just knowing that happened. The day before was where I had actually got engaged. So in one night, less than 24 hours, the world completely changed. Yeah. And being young at that time is just incredible, just to see what happened during that, and then how we went, and from just not having anything to a war front. You know, our whole demeanor changed. Our people were out the door because at that time we did psychological operations, which is the broadcast mission of the 193rd at that time, and we were over there right away. Over there, they call it the tip of the spear. We were ahead of that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you bring up a good point about how everything just changed overnight.
Yeah.
You know, we all go through some type of change in our lives. And a lot of it is just that typical little change that we can handle day in and day out. But then comes the big stuff, the stuff that completely like flips our lives, you know, on end, whether that's the loss of a loved one or the loss of a job or, you know, a threat, you know, to our nation and things like that. And so we've got to maintain some adaptability, I guess, you know, for lack of better words. And you talk about how adaptability and change and transitioning, and you know that's a lot of what we promote from a wellness side. You know, we encourage people to have goals and things like that. And you know, you hear a lot of that internally here, you know, through our wellness messages, but there's a purpose behind it because as human beings, we need goals. We need something to focus on, something that we can, you know, mentally look for or challenge us. You know, you talk about the challenges, because I think if we don't have that, then we tend to like lose sight of things, and I don't think we're at our best. And so, you know, we don't have to be the Olympic runner, the Olympic sports person, whatever, but just remembering that if we can really lean into the challenges as a way to how can I learn through this, how can I grow through this, it makes us a better person. And I think the military helps you with that. Obviously, it sets you up for that. So is it like you hear in the movies? Is boot camp really like that? Matt, I'll have you lean into that.
Yeah, it's hard to think back 25 years or so. 99. That's when I.
Now I'm
went
challenging you to think.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, it is like that, especially when you get off the bus. People just start yelling at you and all that, and you're so overwhelmed with what's going on, and you kind of just sit there and everything just clinches up and you're like, what the heck's going on? What the heck's going on?
Yeah.
And then they slowly mold you into a team and you are working together. You guys don't know each other. There's guys from Utah, there's people from Pennsylvania, there's people from Florida. You know, you are so different in what you are. You're coming from so many different backgrounds, and then when you get in there, you're all one. You basically become one. You know.
Yeah. So there's a purpose in all of that.
Yes.
You know, it's really kind of bringing the whole group into focus. You know, we tend to see it from the movie side and be like, oh, you know, boot camp's pretty scary, but you know, there is a whole purpose and it brings the entire group together because that's really key. Especially when you're called into battle. So.
Yeah. I would say that adaptability is tied directly to survivability. For us in the military, being able to change quickly and adapt on the fly is vitally important. So that's a bit of my superpower working for the company is dealing with that change consistently. I've seen it through 5 titles in my 9.5 years here. And it just continues to give me that ability to keep adapting, keep remaining fresh, and driving towards that mission that you were talking about too.
Share with us, and Greg, I'll have you lean into that a little bit more. You know, on that, what's one situation where you really found yourself adapting and maybe overwhelmed or thought, why am I even here? Why did I sign up for this?
Yeah. So working in a prison is an interesting thing. I don't think many of us will ever have a chance to do that. But for us, you know, you talked about the goals. We had a countdown of the days. We knew exactly when we were going home, or we knew when we were going on leave. We had that number in our head. We knew it, right? We had that goal that we were reaching for, which was getting home safe. So for me, working in the prison was kind of interesting. You try to keep prisoners on their toes so that they don't organize and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, in order to do that, you also change your leadership frequently. So working in the prison, the first half of the year I spent as the desk sergeant, handling all incoming prisoners, as well as external, those that were leaving to go to different prisons or court dates, things like that. About halfway through our one-year tour, they transitioned us, so then I was working in the camps, actually with 360 detainees underneath my responsibility at 21 years old, like I mentioned, and just being able to ensure that they were taken care of, whether it be through medical visits or attorney visits and things like that, or family phone calls. Just being able to ensure that you're taking care of your role, your mission, whatever that is, whatever you're tasked with, and just doing it to the best of your ability. So.
Yeah. What about you, Al?
I guess on the topic of adaptability, something they always trained in the Army was adapt and overcome. Do you gentlemen remember that term?
Oh, yeah.
Adapt and overcome.
Definitely.
So I've kind of always have learned from that, and through life, you know, I've always gone in every situation with 2, sometimes 3 plans, right? So I went with my primary plan. I've been in sales my whole life, so I'd go into a sales call and think this is the way it's going to go. But if it doesn't, how do we come in from this side or from that side? What's the other operations that you can do to get to the target of what you're shooting at? So, you know, through my whole life, I basically have always thought plan A, plan B, plan C sometimes. And I think in business, that's really helped me, like, a lot in, you know, reacting and adapting to a situation that you may not have expected, but you can move forward from.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd like to stay here on this topic for a
Sure.
little bit because I think that can really resonate with all of us because, like I said, sometimes change can be so overwhelming that we tend to shut down. We hear a lot about burnout, you know, the work-life balance, and there's a lot, you know, going on at home, bringing that into the workplace. So what are some things that, you know, through your teams here or maybe in the military where you've helped others accomplish that adaptability and to overcome that?
I could add to that. So for me, the biggest thing that I try to do is minimize generalization, you know, and try to really pinpoint what the problems are. I feel that, you know, the better job we can do to explain the problem, the more effective we can be in developing tactics to actually fix that problem.
Okay.
But really honing in on what the issue is, not letting any noise of the day, you know, weigh into that topic, and just staying hyper-focused on what is the objective that we need to accomplish. And it seems like the tactics underneath kind of come into focus the more you focus on that objective.
Yeah. Is it hard to ask for help? Do you find, you hear a lot of, you know, unfortunately, the PTSD and some suicide. Is it hard from a military standpoint? Are we getting better at that, where people can ask for help and say, I just need someone to come alongside me and support? What do you think, Matt?
I believe it's getting better. It's getting easier to do that because there was a stigma about it at first. And with the way things are going, they are leaning more towards being able to help people out. They are always showing them advocates to different places that like especially military people can go and do that, and it doesn't hurt them in their career.
Good.
Whereas there was a fear of that before.
Good. Good. Good.
And I also think, if I could say, I recently had some experience with the VA system.
Okay.
And I would say the VA today is not the VA that was 20 years ago or 25 years ago.
Good.
I mean, it's changed, it's efficient, it's brought up the speed of being computerized a heck of a lot more. You know, you can go in almost anonymously and talk online and get help and start, you know, moving forward for whatever you need or, you know, concerns.
Okay.
So the VA is definitely improved.
Okay.
Definitely improved.
Good. That's tremendous to hear because,
Yeah.
you know, we have heard stories in the past about
Yes.
that as well. So, any interesting story that you know, if somebody came up and said, you know, what's the most interesting thing that happened to you while you were in the military? Anything anyone wants to share? We can come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll have to make sure it's work appropriate.
Yep, no pressure.
All right.
So
I had a boring career. So I was in public affairs. So everything I had to do was to a mission. You know, a mission. I have to take care of the mission and make sure the story is told. So I don't really have those kind of stories to fill. You know, I mean, other than like going to like career or something like that, and going to an orphanage and stuff like that. But I don't really have any.
But every role is important.
I know.
So,
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it was unimportant. I'm just because I was able to tell the stories of the guys that can't tell their story.
Yeah,
So
very good point.
yeah.
Good.
I like that.
Good. So now you're no longer in the service, but you're always a part of the military.
Yep.
So how did the military help transition you to now civilian life? What was that like?
Well, for me, my career in the Air National Guard, I started off as a photographer, switched over to broadcast, and it's public affairs. Public affairs in the military is like marketing, really. You're marketing the mission, the people, and the equipment, you know, to tell everybody what their tax dollars are being spent on. You know, you could basically tell everybody like that. And then here, it's kind of the same thing. It's just different nomenclature. You're doing the exact same thing. You're just trying to sell a product. You're telling people about it. You're teaching people about what you're trying to sell them and all. So it's really the same thing. So it really is just different nomenclature for me.
Good. Good.
And where we have a captive audience with our customers, but maybe not as captive as in a prison setting, of course. I think there's still parallels that can be tied over from the service as well. I was military police, so I learned to interact with people in a respectful way and be able to extract information from them at times that I may need. And I think that continues to kind of help me in my role, working with customers and working with the sales team to really help identify what they need, maybe if they're not saying it.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a great lead into like the leadership and what you've learned from the military and how you're applying it today.
Sure.
And I think that probably helps with your teamwork and, again, leaning back on that adaptability, but resilience as well. Resilience plays a huge part in our well-being, and I see a lot of similarities in what you learned through your time in the military and what we can apply and help others here in the workplace who haven't been, I haven't been on that side of, you know, the battle and the war. You know, it's me as a civilian trying to understand what all you've gone through and what you've gone through and how can we make that better, you know, every single day. So,
Yeah.
good.
And I think we did just go through a major change here as a company, but I think that the one thing that I don't know keeps me going would be just being grateful for all the folks that we have around us that are that supportive community to us. So just like in the military where we would lean on each other, we need to lean on each other going forward as well as we all encounter that change here professionally as well.
Yep.
Yeah, because each one of us is going through kind of our own battle, not to minimize that in a way, but you know, sometimes it's a mental battle, it's a physical battle. If our bodies are breaking down, you know, if we're going through an illness or if our loved ones are going through an illness, that plays a huge role on, you know, what we're doing from all aspects, trying to stay engaged, you know, with the team at work, trying to stay engaged with our families at home. So that plays a big part.
Yeah, and that's a balance we all had to, you know, deal with being in the military. I mean, even if you're in a war zone, it doesn't mean that your family back home is just sitting still, of course. So recognizing that and kind of adapting to the change that might even be occurring outside of your control is something that we're kind of used to.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Phoenix Contact, why we've made some changes in the last couple of years when it comes to our benefits, as far as making sure we've got a really good mental health provider who can be there for the employees and the families, whether that's just a coach, just maybe somebody that you need to call once, or somebody that you can rely on and call throughout the times. And then vacation personal time. You know, we in the United States, we don't I feel we don't do vacation personal time as well as other countries do. You know, we take a day off and just disconnect and, you know, do something that you love, enjoy, and that type of thing. So what are some hobbies or some things that you've done to try and disconnect so that you can stay focused throughout your days? Al, we'll start with you.
I would say I like to do a lot of stuff.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
if I ever retire, I'm going to be busier in retirement than I am going to be in my current work life. But I enjoy golfing. I'm not very good at it, but I try to get better at it. I enjoy fishing. I enjoy hunting. And as part of hunting, you know, Greg has learned this. I love to hunt. There's a certain season where you can bring a group of people together. And I think this goes back to my military time of working as a unit. Right, so in Pennsylvania, we have a season, a bear hunting season, and it's a long shot season, right? I mean, there's not a bear behind every tree, but in order to achieve success, achieve that target, I'll get a group, and I usually max at about 25 people, which is what the state allows you, and we'll work. We'll work as a unit. We'll have some people who will bust through the brush, and we have other people standing at the other end, waiting for the quarry, the animal, to come out. And you know, it's like 2.5, 3 days in the year that I just so look forward to. It just, you know, some of these people I only see those 3 days of the year, but they come from Texas, they come from South Carolina, right? Some of these are old friends. These are just a collection of people through the years. And it's, you know, it's just a great time. It's just a great time.
Yeah, we could spend all day talking
Yeah.
about hunting. Greg, what about you?
Yeah, and Al mentioned, you know, with the bear hunting and stuff, it's definitely a continuous check of can I accomplish this as we're climbing mountains and things like that. So I've personally seen my conditioning improve over the years here working with Al. And for me, I think it's all about physical exertion. You know, we work our brains every day here at Phoenix.
Yep.
Many of us get to work with our hands, but some of us don't. And so it's really about pushing ourselves to exhaustion. So for me, I play hockey recently. I started playing with a disabled veteran team. And really just trying to get active again, get moving. I get a little bit of that community as well, working with the team. So that's probably a common thread between us. Is you'll hear we seek out those team opportunities, those opportunities to work as a group.
Yeah,
Yep.
good. What about you, Matt?
I'm very, very active. I'll go to the gym, work out. I don't do the pushing myself the way I used to when I was playing football in college, but I mean, I continually try to get myself better in there. Up until recently, since my son graduated high school, I was a coach baseball for him. I did flag football over at Yellow Breaches, not too far away from here. My girlfriend asked me to stop playing because I'm 48 now. So I was like, okay, I'll stop that. But now I have to find another avenue. And with that, I mean, I was playing with guys that were in their 20s. And being out there and a 40-year-old guy out there running around with them, it was so great because they also looked at me as a leader there of the team, and they respected what I had to say a lot too. So, you know, it's all about trying to find that next thing too. Now I'm walking my dog a lot more than I had been since I moved in with my girlfriend. But being with her younger daughters, one's getting into tennis, the other one's doing gymnastics. So there's so many different things. It's not just me being active doing it; it's also being there for them as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and so service has not ended for all three of you. Matt, tell us a little bit about what you're involved with from a military service standpoint.
From a military standpoint, I really try to do what I can to support. I'm not necessarily the actor of it, but there's things that I like to get behind because of PTSD and different things like that. You have what's called Mission 22. Mission 22 is about because there are 22 average people that complete suicide a day. Not just a month or a year. That's a day.
Yeah.
So being able to support different things like the Till Valhalla project, which is just T-shirts, but they also advocate and help out with the Mission 22. So some of the money that you give to them will go to those missions and help out veterans, other veterans, and all. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so important because as we talked in preparation for this, we all have some type of talent that we can give to other people. Some people can get involved with stuff. Some other people, their talent is just supporting through like a purchase of a T-shirt or that. But it goes a long way. And so whatever anybody can do, whether it's sending a card or simply just saying thank you. If you see a veteran out and they're wearing the hat or the shirt, just to say thank you for your service. I'm sure that means a lot to them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always, I don't know about you guys, but I've always not known how to react to someone coming up and say thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's true.
It
is.
It's almost it's like sometimes I feel embarrassed that people are singling me out to say that, and I get that and all, but it just. I've never asked another person that. I mean, how do you guys feel? I mean, I appreciate it.
I definitely appreciate it. It's just that I feel like I was more of a support role, and it was more I was supporting other people doing that. But with my support, they're able to do that mission. So, so that's where I get that. I was like, I appreciate you telling me that, but these guys are the real heroes over here. I'm like, I just help out and try to let everybody know what they're doing. That was my thing.
Yeah, and let me just lean into that real quick. This is a story that just happened a week or two ago, but there was a book that had impacted me a couple years ago when I was going through something, and then a friend of mine was going through almost the same thing, and so I sent her a copy of the book. No big deal, whatever. And so the other week when I was talking to her, and she was like, Wanda, you know that book that you got me? I just bought a whole bunch. I'm giving it to my coworkers, and I'm like, oh, it's just a book. And she's like, you don't understand. That book has made such an impact. She's like, that book changed me. You don't understand the pit I was in. And it made me think like, okay, to me, it's just a book. To some people, it's just a shirt or whatever, or a thank you. But ultimately, there is a ripple effect. And whatever we do, no matter what level, makes an impact. People couldn't do their job without you, man. Yeah. So what about you, Greg?
Very cool. So I mentioned the hockey team I've been playing for, and they asked me to be a captain for the team, so I've taken on a little bit more of a leadership role again. So from that role, I've really tried to grow our organization. So we service a little over 20 veterans right now in the hockey community that are playing either standing hockey or even sled hockey for some of our folks that are that have mobility concerns. So it's kind of rewarding. Matt mentioned, kind of seeing the kids growing up and playing sports. I think that there's something there where we all like to see people succeed, and giving back to the community in that way is really rewarding for me. I get to reach out to veterans on a consistent basis and just maintain engagement with them and some physical activity. And we get our bumps and bruises as well, but it's a great time. We have a blast. So
That's amazing.
yeah, thank you.
And then myself, I'm a member of the Pennsylvania Wireless Association. And being a board member several years ago, we reviewed the charities that we're giving money to. So we give charities like Hershey. Okay. We probably have given them $400,000 over the years to buy like computers for the kids, to the Children's Hospital. But then as part of that, I said, we got to do something for veterans. So I I looked at several charities, and a lot of them are supported by big names on TV, right? So if you watch the NFL, you always have someone coming on and say, give to Wounded Warriors and all that. So we picked a charity, not as public, but still a great cause. It's called Home for Our Troops. And it's an organization where, you have someone that comes back. They're banged up a little bit, right? They didn't come back all intact, and they may be missing maybe an arm, maybe a leg. And what the organization does is they go out and they build homes based upon what the disability is, right? So wider hallways, ramps, bathtubs, whatever the need requires. So I thought that's great for someone. I mean, you come back, you're on disability, can you afford a home? And I have a clay shooting event that I brought on, and I sponsored it, and all the money from the clay shooting event goes to Homes for Our Troops. Yeah. And you know what? I go out the night before and I take the veteran out to dinner, and I try to get in his head and understand, you know, what he's gone through or she's gone through. And we bring them out the next day, and they tell their story. And each one of them has a different story to tell. Some of them tell about how getting a free home, you know, what it has meant to them, what they've been able to do because of that. And others, they talk about the day that, you know, life changed for them. And to hear those stories, it's just amazing. And, you know, everyone, you never know exactly what you're going to get from these guys, right? So there's the loud ones, there's the quiet ones, there's the ones who get emotional, there's the ones who sit and laugh. We had one gentleman who lost both his legs, and he said, you know, the best thing that came of this, and I thought, what's the best thing that comes from losing your legs? And he said, I got injured at 5'9". I came out at 6'1". I told the doctors to make my leg extensions a little bigger, and I thought, I have no problems at my job if this guy can go through this in life. So, you know, that's kind of the giving back. I really enjoy it. It's total volunteer. Takes a little bit of time, some personal time to do it, but just at the end of a day, I feel great.
Yeah.
You feel great doing it, you know, and you're actually helping someone. You can see where the money goes. You can see the aid. So.
Yeah, I think there's no greater service than when we can lift somebody up,
Yeah.
and you know, put them in a place that's better than what they were.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
greater service than that. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stories. Veterans Day isn't just a USA holiday.
Sure.
It's actually celebrated all over the world because of all the connection from World War I and following that. So, yeah, to know that there's at least one day where we
Yep.
can all come together
Yep.
is really, really commendable.
Yep.
So, yeah, great. Well, thank you all so much. This was truly an honor for me to hear your stories, and would love to even do a deeper dive.
Sure.
But
Sounds good.
appreciate your service. Appreciate your, you know, being a colleague, and that our paths have crossed. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for the
you.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
We extend our heartfelt appreciation to everyone joining us today who has served, and to those who continue to serve. Your dedication reminds us that service doesn't end when the uniform comes off. It endures in the way you lead, the way you support others, and the way you show up with purpose every single day. Thank you.